Welcome, viewers, subscribers, and everybody else. And those who are new, welcome, subscribe, and look forward to sharing very important news from you. A couple of things have happened, and they have great ramifications. America attacked Venezuela, went there, caught the president and his wife, extracted them, brought them to the United States, and charged them with narco-terrorism, which is narcotics, possession of machine guns, and intent to use it against United States. We'll also talk about Trump said we are locked and loaded to deal with Iran in case they use violence against protesters. We'll talk about that too. Is this the start of a new spheres of influence? Are we starting with colonialism all over again, with gunboat diplomacy in the 19th century? We'll talk about that too. There's also an admission in India and with the senior analysts, in a future conflict, Trump will tilt towards Pakistan. What does that mean? India may not have GPS. Now, Indian analysts are admitting what we had told the news during Operation Sindoor and our Operation 4-Day War, that Modi begged for a ceasefire. And we're going to talk about that also. The last item we had talked earlier in our discussions in the thing, Chinese had asked that they place 30,000 troops in Pakistan, especially around Balochistan and CPAC. Now, India is also coming on board on this one, and they're saying that Chinese troops are coming in. And there seems to be using an activist called Mir Yar Baloch, who wrote a letter to the Indian External Affairs Ministry. Now we'll start with a full scale of what's going on, extremely important ramifications. First, let's start with the news. The USA attacked Venezuela and captured Mr. Maduro, the president, and his wife from Venezuela. Now we talk about where is Venezuela, okay? And we're going to bring that to the forefront right now. Venezuela is in South America, and it is around, if you look at this map, it'll give you an idea. America's right here, and Venezuela is in the South America. Americans attacked Venezuela, especially the capital is Caracas, and President Trump said US successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela, and the Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife were captured and flown out of the country. Well, flown out of the country where? They were first flown out to Guantanamo Bay, and then they brought into your New York detention center. So that's where it's happening. Announcement came, basically how the announcement, Trump's social media platform came shortly before 4:30 a.m. Saturday, a few hours after several explosions were heard in the Venezuelan capital of Caracas, which is a very beautiful city right on near the coast. And I think people enjoy the sunshine nowadays, and it's also a place where beachgoers go. Anyway, so witnesses and photos show plumes of smoke and large fireballs in the night. So it was basically a shock and awe. The Venezuelan government issues a statement condemning what it called the grave military aggression perpetuated by the current government of the United States in Caracas, Miranda, Aragua and La Guaira. Those are towns along the coast in Venezuela. Venezuela, remember, it's mostly a very forested area once you get away from the coast. Picture of fire at Fuerte Tiuna. Venezuela law ministry complex, serious explosion in Caracas. Loud exposure accompanied by sounds resembling aircraft flyovers from 2 a.m. on till 6 a.m. on January 3rd. Now, this means what does this mean? This means America has come back. There was no mention of human rights. Trump said, we are there, we are going to run Venezuela. They said the new vice president replacing Maduro by their Supreme Court of Venezuela has appointed her is going to take his diktat, do as Americans say. Okay. Now, that's one thing. And he has said now this allows American corporations to go in and exploit and fix the oil industry. Now, just to put it in perspective, Venezuela has 17% of the global oil reserve, more than Saudi Arabia, but it only exports 1% of the global output. 20 years ago, it was producing more than Saudi Arabia. So now to get it from where it was 20 years to this one will require a lot of investment, a lot of hard work, and with Americans going in Venezuela. How that turns out remains to be seen. Okay. Now, Americans have also said in case Venezuelans don't listen to us, we can always go in again. So there is a virtual threat at any time. Venezuelans don't listen to them, that they're going to go in. There was also another statement by Donald Trump. Nobody in South America will dare test American or challenge American dominance. So all those countries like Colombia, Cuba, other ones like are going to be really careful what they say. Now, something I'd like you to bring to your attention, Guyana, this little state now has just discovered the largest lithium reserves in the world. So you're looking at this extremely resource-rich area. Now, what you're talking about 19th century, and there used to be a type of diplomacy called the gunboat diplomacy, gunboat. What they did, these gunboats went in China, and they basically sold opium. This opium was produced in India, bought at British Empire rate set, brought all the way over here and sold here. And if you can see, a lot of rivers flow in in China go inside. These gunboats entered all over the China, and they sold opium for gold only. So that's where the whole nation of China turned into a Hafim, opium eaters. There was a war fought against the gunboat diplomacy where the emperor of China decided to challenge it, but they lost the war. And for a long time, China had no output. Now, no national identity. They were all occupied by the different French, British, this and that. Everybody was exploiting this country. That was the age of neocolonialism and colonialism and gunboat diplomacy. So it looks like they're entering in that era again, except the three world powers have the spheres of influence, especially China and Pakistan, China and America, as well as potentially Russia. Now we go back to where we were in Caracas. Now, what this means diplomatically for the world, it means any country, if it has the military power, they can go into a neighboring country, take out their top politicians, try them in their own country. I mean, you can have UAE go into Kuwait, take its leader out and try them in their country. Or Pakistan can go in, take out the Modi from Delhi, bring him here for trials, crimes committed against Sikhs and Christians, and the vice versa in Afghanistan. So no longer you have to go in a country and do that, you can also intimidate them in doing it. So that's part of the whole thing. The traditional world order, democracy, and the human rights, and the fight against terrorism is all gone and collapsed. It's really down to raw power. Jiski danda uski bhais. Whoever has the power, they get their way. And so the main thing to learn in this, having military power is a guarantee of national sovereignty and independence. If you do not have the military power, you will be subjugated. So we have to remember that. That's the only way. Otherwise, you will see occupation of foreigners. And you're going to see more and more of this going on in the world. How it starts to affect us depends on how our leaders exploit, how to project ourselves in this region. Now, Trump also said something very interesting. Trump said US will intervene if Iran violently suppresses peaceful protest. US President Trump on Friday said that if Iran shoots and violently kills peaceful protesters, USA of America will come to the rescue. He used the word, we are locked and loaded and ready to go on his truth social. Now, let me explain what this means in American terms. He means he's got the gun pointed and he has it on target and he's got the bullet loaded. That means they're ready to run an operation in Iran at a moment's notice. So I think Iranians should take it very seriously, what he has said. This follows the death of several people as Iran's biggest protest in 3 years over the economic hardship turned violent across multiple provinces. The clashes between protesters and security forces mark significant escalation in the unrest and the spread across the country since shopkeepers began protesting on Sunday against government handling of sharp currency slide and rapidly rising prices. To give you perspective, one Iranian currency is equal to right now 1.46 million to buy $1, which is used to be about a million. So they're saying we can't take it anymore. The senior advisor to Supreme Leader Mr. Ali Larijani, he was here that US interference in Iranian would lead to a chaos across the region. He was giving us a diplomatic card to Pakistan. He won't be attacked by India. I mean, I think that everybody needs to play within their awqat, what they're within their pay range they should play. Now, a lot of people are going to go here, oh no, this is going to be this and that, and you can't impose your will on people and this and that. Yes, colonial times, they imposed their will on people. And they made them do what they want them to do. Iran was occupied both by the Brits and the Soviet Union. And they made them do what they wanted them to do. Okay. China was occupied by all the Western powers, Japan and the rest, and they made them do what they wanted them to do. So let's not talk of hocus pocus and talk in the air. Ye ho jayega, wo ho jayega. You have to look at the ground realities really carefully. Now, for that, I will go back to the map. You remember at one time we had talked about Iran. Iran is a very critical area, if you start looking at it, and they control the Gulf of Hormuz. I think UAE also controls it. So Tehran is up in the north, and you've got a whole western side wide open. And a lot of people around this area are non-Persian. Most Persians are around Tehran. This is mostly area of Turks, and this area is more Afghans, and the rest. So what we are getting here is we have to be very careful that America will move towards on Iran, and it's going to move in a way that Westerners have moved in colonial times. So, I mean, all that pomp and say and this and that, United Nations, human rights, can't impose the will. Will has been imposed, and it can be imposed by force. And the only way that will can be stopped is by force. If your country has the force, has the will, it can stay independent. If not, you will be subjugated. So under the new spheres of influence, we have to see what China and America have decided to do. They had a meeting some time ago in Seoul, Korea, one-on-one. So I think they came to some kind of an understanding. And as this month unfold, we will find out what their understanding is. Okay, now a couple of things are coming realization on the Indian side. Indians are beginning to realize that the world has changed, and especially their analysts are beginning to say, oh yeah, it has changed. And some of the ones they're coming to is this conclusion. Number one, what they're saying is Donald Trump will tilt towards Pakistan in a future conflict. Yeah. What that means is Donald Trump will tilt towards Pakistan in the next conflict because it sees Pakistan's technology, operational readiness, ability to fight beyond tactical levels as a significant advantage, and it'd rather be with a winner in the area. It'd rather be with a country which has pivot and ability to pivot project power in the region, both Middle East, Central Asia, South Asia, and I think it's liking that. So Pakistan is currently a pivot for both China as well as America. So we dealt last time on this one, what caused the Pakistan's rise geopolitically in this region. Now, the countries which are going to be struggling geopolitically would be India, would be Europe, because Europeans do not have any colonial area to go to. India cannot enforce its will even on Bangladesh. Bangladesh does not want to go and have tests in India, the T-20s. So all around in the region, your ability to project power is how you're recognized. So now, what these analysts say in India, recent developments, shifting US foreign policy in South Asia raises concerns over future India-Pakistan relations. So they're concerned, how will this affect India? It simply affects this way, India is on its own. No GPS. You better live with the Russian satellite system, which Chinese can jam like this, or even we can jam. So recent developments in United States foreign policy have signaled a notable shift towards Pakistan. And the thing is straining relations with India. Although, who lost India? I mean, that kind of deal. Raising questions about Washington's stance in future crises between India and Pakistan. There's no question. Trump has already walked into the Pakistani camp. If we keep winning, he will stay there. If he sees we are losing, he'll go on the other side. Military analysts warn of evolving dynamics on the ground. Pakistan armed forces, emboldened by US engagements, claimed successes, have conducted exercises showcasing advanced capabilities, which they have. Reports suggest enhanced operational planning, potentially increasing new levels of engagement, like the rocket force, and future scenarios differing from the past limited skirmishes. All the tactical side, पहले होता था, वो मामला खत्म हो गया. अब ये जाएगा सीधा operational level, right on the top. The US pivot, now they're admitting it, coincides with Pakistan's effort to rebuild credibility and capture high-value targets, pledges to support regional stability. They've resonated with Washington. Pakistan to play a role to bring stability for America in this region. Conversely, India's independent stance on energy, security, refusal to acknowledge U.S. mediation have contributed to switching. I mean, if India is not listening to the US and they're running on their own and this and that, or we are big India, Trump says, okay, go to the big India. I'm with Pakistan. So it's kind of they shut themselves out. Anyway, now we're going to get to the real meat of the bones. Now the Indian analysts, in particular Praveen Sani, who's a very respected analyst, military analyst, he has said Modi was forced to ask for a ceasefire in Operation Sindoor. And Praveen Sani says it highlights Pakistan's superior operational readiness. And that is going to be the case in future conflicts. The prominent Indian defense analyst has asserted that the results of Indian Operation Sindoor, May 2025, turned out to be contrary to New Delhi's expectations, forcing India to seek a ceasefire through American intervention through Prime Minister Narendra Modi as a refrain from public admission. I think if you remember at that time, Ajit Doval parrot call to Marco Rubio as a security advisor, basically begging for a ceasefire, because there was a plenty going on so badly that 500 Indian personnel had been killed and multiple bases had been leveled. All the government sites in Punjab and Kashmir were shut down. There was nothing going on. I mean, it was chaos. So they asked for a ceasefire. And Sani also warned, in future war, Pakistan military extraordinary, now he's calling extraordinary operation capability, will pose a severe challenge. It means they're going to lose. Severe challenge means lose. Okay. Sani is an editor of Force magazine, former army officer, described in Operation Sindoor as a strategic blunder. It means, he says, strategic blunder. He says Pakistan effectively neutralized many Indian incursions, including drone and missile threats, and claiming significant aerial success. He said Pakistan's advancement in multi-domain warfare, Chinese-supplied J-10 fighters, PL-15, contributed to that shift in balance. Praveen Sani said Pakistan has inflicted disproportionate damage, forcing India to halt operations achieving. For example, Pakistan said there are 17 dead. India has admitted more than 500. Now, how many were wounded? I mean, you could draw your own conclusions. So it was a severe setback to India. The operational level, just remember, if you have a dominance on operational level, those people cannot reinforce the front line. Eventually, the fighting on the front line, Indian army will collapse. That's what they're saying. He says, as tensions linger, no resumption of dialogue, Saudi views highlight narrative shift that Pakistan's resilience during Operation Sindoor seen as establishing a new deterrent equivalent. What he is saying, India wanted to establish a deterrence, so Pakistan doesn't attack it. What end up happening is India is now deterred. They're going to think 10 times before they attack Pakistan. So it was a complete reversal. Anyway, now we go on to the other topic. Indians Chinese had asked Pakistan that they allow 30,000 Chinese troops to come into Pakistan. But for some reason, we've been hemming and hawing and little stuff over that. However, Chinese want to move to the next phase of CPAC 2.0, which means putting Chinese industry over here for export, which is awesome for Pakistan. Great jobs, 16,000 jobs around Islamabad going to 25,000. I mean, 400 million investment going up to 600 million. So they want to do that all over the place. And for that, they want to guarantee security. For that, they want to bring in the troops. Now, looks like there's a geopolitical dot. Well, geopolitical dot is this. a Baloch self-claimed activist, Mr. Mir Yar Baloch, wrote a letter to Indian Foreign Affairs Minister Mr. Jaishankar, alleging that China may be deploying military forces in Balochistan in the coming future, next few months. This is dated January 1st, 2026. Shared on social media, warns of deepening Pakistan-China ties posing threats to regional stability. Stability meaning the BLA is losing the battle. The game is over. However, the claims remain speculative and lack independent verification from official sources either in China or Pakistan. Neither will say so. Even if they are here, they won't say so. The letter asserts the Pakistan-China economic corridor reached a final phase, which is correct, suggesting potential direct Chinese military involvement if Baloch resistance forces are not strengthened. What they are saying is हमें और हम strengthen करो ताकि हम China को भी resist कर सकें. Mashallah, mashallah. Now where are they going to help them? Let's go back to the map. You know, and we're going to go back and say, well, what does that mean? This is Iran, and where will India do this? India has to come either through Iran to help BLA or Afghanistan or come through the sea. Sea is very impossible now. So that's what the lay of the land is. And I think I brought you up to speed as much as I could. Now what I'll do is I'll invite our host, famous host, fantastic host, our Maher Bano. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
I'm fine. Pleasure to have you on board. And walaikum assalam.
Same here. So, coming towards the recent developments, starting up with the questions, let's talk about the sovereignty and international law first. What does it really means for global sovereignty if the US openly claims to have captured a sitting president like Nicolas? What do you think about that?
Gone for a six. UN says they're concerned. Everything is gone. America says our sphere of influence is America. We can do as we please. Anybody who checks our dominance, we're gonna basically catch them and charge them with something and put them in jail or get rid of them. So I think the international law, all the good stuff is out of the window now. So it's basically spheres of influence, gunboat diplomacy. You got the power to resist, you'll stay independent. You got the power to impose, you'll get your will. If you don't have power, you'll break up as a country completely. Like what has happened with Syria, Libya, Iraq, and those people are running around all over the Middle East and Europe, and people are kicking them out. In spite of the fact that Afghani this and Afghani that and superhuman martial race, millions are sitting outside the country. Why don't they go there? इसलिए मार्शल थे तो जाए ना अपने हमारे सर पे क्यों बैठे हैं 40 साल से ये बैठे हुए हमारे घर और हमें ही मार रहे हैं. Anyway,
exactly.
Sorry, I changed to Urdu
All
deliberately.
right, no problem. Talking about the power transition in Venezuela. So, is the appointment of Delce as interim president a genuine constitutional process or a stopgap under foreign pressure?
I think that was
Just make it
not a
clear.
stopgap under any pressure. Their Supreme Court said in the absence of the president, she has the temporary power of the president. Her name is Delcy Rodriguez. Trump claims that she's going to take whatever he tells her to do. She says America has got an aggression. Problem is this. It takes more than Delcy Rodriguez to govern Venezuela. The population is highly anti-American. So it remains to be seen how America will impose their will over the Venezuelans. But countries have imposed their will and they can do it. They can do it. It remains to be seen. South Americans are shit scared of Americans. So there is a scare factor. with those people with the history. So let's see.
Definitely.
The likelihood of
Okay.
Venezuelans falling in line with the Americans is high. The likelihood of them resisting power is low. So I hope I asked your
All right.
question.
Yes, exactly. Talking about the signals this case is sending to the world, how are China, Russia, and Iran likely to interpret their red lines after Venezuela?
I think
What kind of message it is sending? Like,
it depends if Americans don't interfere with Chinese similar act. Let's suppose they do it on Taiwan, then Chinese won't have a problem with Venezuela. They will raise hue and cry diplomatically, this and that,
okay.
release Maduro, this and that, all the rest of the stuff. But at the end of the day, they're just going to go quiet. So will Russia. But if Americans decide that they only respect, that they don't respect other spheres of influence, then they're in for a fight. But Americans know better than that. So they will respect Chinese and Russian spheres of influence. Now, I don't know where the Russian sphere of influence is. My guess is at least Ukraine. I don't know where the Chinese sphere of influence is, but my guess is South Asia, somewhat West Asia, Southeast Asia, the first island chain maybe, but it remains to be seen.
Okay.
Pakistan definitely
Coming
is
towards the bigger picture.
Say that again.
Please
Go
continue.
ahead.
All right. No, I was just asking from that you're talking about Caracas to South Asia. So are we entering an era where raw power and operational readiness outweighs diplomacy and international institutions? Talk about the bigger picture.
Absolutely, and all the time, military power will reign supreme. You know, Saudi Arabia caught good old UAE sending arms to Houthis, and Saudi Arabia said, "Wait a minute, what the hell are you doing? Where was the UAE president? In Pakistan. He gave $1 billion to the Fauji Foundation." And Pakistan said, let diplomacy take precedence. Okay? You getting the picture?
All right. Exactly. Thank you so much for clearing
Exactly.
it. So Venezuela may be the latest flashpoints, but the implications are basically global, where power moves
Completely.
faster than diplomacy.
Yes. We are back to the
All right.
gunboat diplomacy days of activism. Anyway.
Thanks for
Still
answering the
back.
questions deliberately. All yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure. And good night.
Good.